The reviews were saying the film is good, but the standout is the Rwandan actress Eliane Umuhire. I was shaking. Lupita Nyongo, Honsu, I had watched his films in Butare, and I was there being told that I was going to act with him and Lupita, and gratitude. Also the excitement. It was my first time to go on a horror movie, and I was excited to see how you shoot a horror movie.
Hello everyone. My guest this week on the Long Form podcast is Eliane Umuhire. Born in Rwanda and currently based in France, Eliane is a multiple award-winning actress and Hollywood star. We discuss her life journey, her foray into acting, her experience acting alongside Lupita Nyongo, and whether or not there's a dark side to Hollywood. Hello there. Before we dive into today's conversation, have you subscribed to our channel yet? If you haven't, do so. And remember to share your thoughts with us in the comments below and like this video. Your support means a lot. Now let's get into it. Eliane?
Hey, Sanny.
Welcome to the Long Form.
Thank you so much.
So let's get into it. In your bio online, you're called a French Rwandan actress. But I also do know that you were born in Rwanda in 1986 to two Rwandan parents. Mm-hmm. And then you also studied at the National University of Rwanda with me, in not the same class, but around the same time. Yeah. You were there in 2005, that's where the bio says you started acting. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us more about your earlier life? Why you started acting? And how in the world you ended up with a French passport?
Yeah. So I was born here. I was born here in Rwanda, and to a Rwandan family. Both my parents loved culture and arts, especially my father. My mom used to read a lot, and I was always wondering like what's in those books. And then when I was in primary 3 or 4, my elder sister came and she gave me a book, and she was like, you're going to primary 4, now you're growing up, you have to know how to read, like read novels. So that was my first book, and I opened, there were images in them, and there was a new world opening up to me. And then, because we had a papeterie, a bookshop, selling like books for schools. I used to go there, sit, and then read like P6 and P5 books, like because of I loved stories. And then as we were also playing with other children, like when you're playing mama and papa, I wasn't interested much in being a mama. I found myself being interested in playing other characters. I remember there was a day I was playing a tour guide, and bringing other children uphill, telling them they're going to see gorillas. And that's in 1998. Even before people started talking about gorillas. I don't know where that came. And I was enjoying turning myself into another character. And then when I was in secondary school, my French teacher gave us a text to memorize and come and perform in front of the class. And it was a text about a guy coming from the street, bringing a watch that he had found on the street, bringing it in a commissaire at the police station. And then there was a police officer who was telling the guy, "No, you are the fifth. You have French coming in. You stole this watch." And they told me to play the guy bringing the watch in, and it wasn't interesting because he had just a few lines to play, while the police officer had more lines. So I begged with my scene partner, my colleague, my classmate, to exchange. And he was like, "I don't know, maybe I'll take the other one." So I went home because I wasn't sure. I found myself reading both parts and memorizing both parts, the one of the police guy and the guy who was bringing the watch in. And when I reached school, they gave me the police officer, and I was happy playing a man. I would imagine him big, tall, bigger than me. And what struck me was the silence of my colleagues when we started acting. Silence, like completely silent, and as if something was suspended, like time had stopped. And the feeling of like I think it was adrenaline from playing someone else. And that day I knew I wanted to be an actor. That day I knew that there is a feeling I get every time I get to be someone else. I get to carry a story. There is something. And then also at Radio Rwanda, there was a Channel 2, Radio Rwanda, where they used to pass Sunday night. They used to pass a theater called Anthologie du Mystère, which was in French, which was almost like a film, but like a film. And every Sunday, my father used to bring me the radio station of our radio station and bring it to my room so I could listen to that. So I found myself being carried by stories, loving stories. And then long story, I went to university. I was studying accounting at secondary school and at university as well.
Before you go into university,
tell me.
The kind of parents that would allow their daughter to go into and really would allow them to pursue their passion are a special kind of parent.
Completely.
Tell me more about your parents. Were they academics? Were they artists? Or were they just simple Rwandans?
I would say they were simple Rwandans. They were they had their own businesses, pharmacy businesses. But they loved culture. Especially my father, like he wanted really us to pursue, to open always our thinking. And also to learn many languages. I remember when I was going to secondary, the first term, I think I scored something like 2 out of 20 in English. And he told me, Eliane, I'm sorry, but you're not having holidays this time. And I sat home and he taught me English. Like the base of my English today came from that moment. The same way he enrolled me to the French library so I could go and read books. So they were like normal citizens, medium class, but wishing the world for their children. And the same for my mom when after that episode of my class, of my French class, and when I was asking myself a lot of questions, because everyone was asking around children what they wanted to become, and some were saying that I wanted to become presidents, others flying planes, and all. I was like, that's cool, but when I think about it, it doesn't resonate inside. What resonates is when I am acting. And I went to see my mom to ask her if she thinks I could become an actor. Because I didn't have any image.
How old are you at this point?
At that moment, I was 11. I was 11. And Mashirika had started performing. I was seeing the adverts of their shows on TV, and it looked like too big for me, like them performing, dancing and all. But I could not relate it to what I was feeling. So since I didn't know where I could see, I didn't know there was theater. I didn't know there was films being done in Rwanda. Like there was a huge mystery about, I knew I wanted to become an actor, but where is it possible? So I asked mom, and I think another mom could have told me, you are crazy. Just focus on your studies and we'll see later. But she just told me, if you want to become it, you can be it.
At 8 years old, tragedy befalls Rwanda. There's the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Were you here?
I was here.
In Kigali?
We were in Kigali and then later in Kibuye. Yeah.
What do you remember from that time?
I remember seeing the world change. Yeah. I remember wondering what had happened. I remember a constant fear. And that I knew that it was fear when I saw the first, the killers that I used to see passing. being carried, escorted by the RPF soldiers. When I saw those guys passing, that's when that thing was relieved. And I knew it was fear.
Did you understand what was happening? Did your parents kind of help? Because at 8 years old, you're young enough to have innocence, but you're now slightly old enough to almost understand that life is not innocent.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that like?
There was no conversation. And there was more questions and silence. But many questions. And I think maybe also that dictated me being an actress later. And there was an episode where we had to leave my grandparents' house to go to where we used to live. And I remember seeing bodies in the street, and I was like, what is it going to be of these bodies? What are they going to become? And in 2019, when we were shooting Trees of Peace, I remember saying, like, today I'm bringing these bodies to life. I'm giving them a story. Yeah. So, a huge, so many questions, a lot of questions. And also like a kind of lost in trust in the human being, because seeing people turning from one day to another, seeing people who used to go to the market, bringing the sacks of potatoes to the market, and the same people passing this time with machetes and running after the others.
You just said that 1994 kind of almost guided or maybe inspired the fact that you ended up being an actress. How?
Because we carry stories. And with carrying those stories, we bring them to life. Sometimes we can give space to people to talk. We give space to people to commune. And I was giving an example of 2019 when we were doing Trees of Peace, and I was like, as we are doing these parts, these stories, the same with Mashirika or Isho, when we're doing any piece around the genocide against Tutsi's memory, it's allowing these stories to be alive, telling their names, saying that this happened, a genocide happened in our country, a tragedy happened, a brother took a machete and killed his brother. And this brother cannot go unknown. We cannot just go and build and say as if it hasn't happened. And there are some conversations that are very difficult to have, to put words on. And sometimes it's better when we take a kind of distance. And I feel like arts help us to take that distance and approach those difficult difficult conversations. And also just for education purposes, for children to be able to know what happened, the rest of the world to know what happened. Yeah.
You speak so passionately about artistry and acting and storytelling, which then kind of confuses me because you were doing accounting, probably the most unartistic, boring, at least for me. Maybe for you accountants, accounting and numbers is fun, but for civilians like myself, it's not something that you think, oh my God, I'm going to wake up and it gets my juices flowing to look at Excel.
I know.
How did that artistic girl that was raised by these parents that wanted her to be her full self, how did she end up trying to get a degree in accounting from the University of Rwanda?
Well, those same parents who wanted me to live my life as fully as possible wanted me to also earn a living. So when after in secondary, there is tronc commun.
Yes.
After tronc commun, I was allocated. I was sent to literature studies by the government.
Yes.
So the Ministry of Education saw in my exams that I was not meant for maths, biochemistry, but for literature. And my father was like, this is very interesting. Literature is very interesting, but how are you going to live with that? How are you going to survive? And so I considered, and then I was like, maybe accounting, because he had done finances. And so I ended up doing accounting. And I was like, when I will be in university, I'll be old enough to choose for myself. But I wasn't old enough again still. So they were like, once again, I wanted to go in journalism. And someone said, oh, maybe she should go into medicine because she's very bright. I said, no, that's again too much. Instead of going, if I can have journalism, if I can have marketing, if I can't have literature, again, I cannot go into medicine. I prefer go into accounting. So I found myself going to accounting.
You might have been a doctor in another life.
Maybe, maybe. No, but anyway, like they call it a theater when they're the surgery room. It's a theater, so we performing.
Maybe you would have acted there as well.
So yeah, that's how I found myself doing accounting. But because my parents were like, if you fail anything, maybe you can still have a job when.
I mean, isn't that the way that many of our parents kind of looked at things those days? I think things have changed. I don't know if you have younger cousins and you're an auntie to younger nephews and nieces. Their world is different from ours. Ours was, I wanted to do journalism. My father said, there's no work in journalism, go and do law. And so it's really interesting when I'm speaking to someone from a similar generation as I, to hear that those were the same conversations. The government looked at you, looked at what your skill set, and said, yeah, she should be in literature. If that had happened, if you had ended up in literature, do you think your life would have ended up in the same place? Or maybe you would have ended up somewhere else?
Maybe somewhere else. Maybe being in accounting helped me to really see the love that I had for acting and fighting for that, for staying alive as an actress. Maybe helped me to really focus. I don't know if you see what I mean. Like having to go to study something that I didn't love showed me what I loved the most. And maybe if I had been in literature, I could have taken it for granted. Who knows?
No, it's absolutely right. So in Butare, who as it's now known, that's where you kind of start acting.
Awesome.
You were telling me about off camera about some of your first forays into theater, and you're telling me about the time that you and your colleagues were acting at the Maid Auditorium at Huye. Tell me about that experience.
Oh, my first memory of me little, I could see myself just little and going to Centre des Arts of Butare and seeing people rehearsing there, doing dances, and there was a girl called Martine. She's a great actress, very passionate with a lot of energy, and I saw her and I was like, wow, she looks like a goddess, and I felt very small. Like I could see from outside. I would just watch from outside. I didn't feel, I felt like I have something that belongs to that place, but do I belong to that place? And then I started asking around, do you know if there is a theater company? How does one get in? And they were like, yeah, we have a theater company called Les Stars du Théâtre. We gather every Sunday afternoon, and then we exchange exercises, we improvise together. So I joined that theater, and then we made our first play. And I went on stage for the first time. And we used to pretend like we do modern theater. We don't use microphone. We project because we are full actors.
And for people who don't know what the main auditorium at the National University is like, it can hold maybe about 500 people. It's a big space with,
more than 500.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it does.
About 1,000 people.
Yeah.
So it's not a small room. And the ceilings are very high.
Yeah.
So
it's a full. It's an auditorium. It's a theater auditorium. You can have an opera in that building. And I remember when I saw the red floor when I was registering at university, and I passed and I peeped in and I saw the red floor. I was like, one day I will go on that stage. So I went on that stage with no microphone, 1,000 people. And like how there are the lower seats and then the upper seats where there used to be Abakonar.
So those people who don't know Butare speak, Abakonar would probably be the hooligans. Okay.
Yes. So we started performing. It's my first day of performing, like my first official day. And then I'm there, I'm crying in the arms of my scene partner. And then Abakonari started screaming, microphones, microphones, and microphones. And they screamed a lot that we had to stop the play. Aimable Twayirwa was the director of the center at that moment. And he was like, he stopped the play and he was like, for the respect of actors and for theater, we are going to put a hold on this, on this play. So they closed the curtains. I was in the arms of Vestine, my scene partner, and I was crying, and this time I was crying for real.
Why were you crying?
Because they were screaming so hard that we were not even able to talk. And they were like, no, stop the play. We can't hear anything. Microphones and all. And I was like, okay, this is the beginning and it's the end. It's done of my career. I felt ashamed. I felt like, what do you do when you're called to stop a play in the middle? No one told me how you handle that. Maybe some people who study theater, they are told how to handle those kind of situations.
So how did you handle it?
So we had a quorum. We had we were like defending, no, theater doesn't, we don't use microphones in the theater. We project and all, but finally we had to agree to use microphones for the respect
of the audience.
If we want to convey a message, then we have to make sure that that message is heard. So we use the microphones.
It's really interesting just kind of hearing all those steps, right? All the experiences at OD, in the auditorium, the experience with the accounting, and now to just have you here. But you still haven't told me how you ended up with a French passport.
Oh, the French passport is because I live in France now. Yeah, I am based in France, and after 5 years of residency, normally you get your nationality. And also I'm married to a French person. So, yeah.
Okay, because the reason I say that is because I looked at it and I was like, how is this possible? Because there's another well-known Rwandan Scottish actor, Chuti Gatwa, and I understood that he's Scottish because he was raised in Scotland, but his parents are Rwandan.
Yeah, and he was born here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, was there some time in your life when you had moved to France?
I moved, but very recently.
Okay.
Yeah, I did all my acting here, most of my acting here. And then I moved in 2019. And so I applied for citizenship because I live there, and luckily enough, both countries accept double citizenship. And I'm as Rwandese today, as little as I am of French. And I would say I'm a world citizen, actually. Yeah.
So let's talk about acting and acting as an art form. Because to hear you speak about it is to hear you speak about something that there's almost love in your voice. There's a certain reverence to the art. What is it about that art form for you that you said, you know what? I know that for every one artist that makes it, that is able to call this a profession that he or she can feed their family and afford a mortgage, there are probably thousands of failed artists, of failed actors and actresses. That the success rate is not great for the amount of people who aspire to be actors and actresses versus those who actually are able to feed themselves. That's why there's that trope of the starving artist.
Yeah.
Because very often that is, unfortunately, sometimes what happens, which is probably why even your dad, when you told him about this acting, he said, okay, I love your passion.
Yeah.
But maybe accounting will allow you to feed yourself.
Yeah.
So maybe the question that I'd like to ask you is, what is it about the art form that made you say, you know what? I'm going to risk it all. I'm going to risk my sanity, my time, my money, my effort, my blood, and my tears.
So we are in 2015. I've just wrapped shooting Birds Are Singing in Kigali, which is a Polish production. And we had shot in Poland and in Rwanda, and I was working for Plan International. I had just embarked on a communications officer post. And then I was like, oof, maybe it's time because after university, I was working on the side, like a small job that will allow me to still go for theater. And then one day I was like, am I going to keep on waking up at 6, be at my desk at 7:30, leave office at 5:30, sometimes push until 7, and do a job that is good, that pays me well, but doesn't resonate with my heart? Am I going to keep on doing this? The society, the rest of my surroundings will be happy. My family will be happy because I have a job. I can have a loan. I can have a house and all. But I won't be happy. Like, where does my heart sing? When do I get alive? And it's when I'm on stage. And also I had seen that it was possible with that production. And
do you remember how much they paid you?
Oh, it was I think it was 10,000 euros.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. In 2013, 2014, it wasn't bad at all. So I had seen that was possible if I work, but it was risky. So I took the decision of quitting the job. And also by respect towards my colleagues, because they could, even though I was traveling with Isho and Mashirika, we could create a play here, and then we'll travel with that play in festivals around the world. And the life I had, everyone thought like it was like a dream job, having a job on the side and using my holidays to travel, going on tour and all. So it wasn't fair for my colleagues at Plan. So, but also towards me, I had one foot here and another foot there. So I was not performing fully as a communication officer, and I wasn't performing fully as an actress. So I stopped. And I knew that I was risking, but I was like, I'm 28. And if I fail, I want to, maybe if I'm 35 later or 40, I would say, at least I have tried. At least. I tried and I failed. Now I can do something else. I knew that I can still work. As long as these are working and my head's still working, I can do any job. So I risked and I jumped into the unknown, leaving my job, my daily job, to pursue an acting career. And the first day when I woke up, even though I was proud saying, I'm pursuing my dreams and all, the first day when I woke up and I was not going to work, there was fear. That fear of, whoa, what's going to happen now next? And then another side of me telling me, we are going to work. We are going to do everything possible to earn our living. And
didn't some people think that you were crazy?
Oh, of course, I didn't mention that. Everyone thought I was crazy. Everyone. Artists, my fellow artists, were like, you're lucky to have a good job. You should stick to that. And then my colleagues and everyone who have what I would say a healthy mind was like, how dare you? Because also like it was for 2014, it's not like today. Today there are many actors and many artists who are living by their arts, but back at that time, there was no assurance of having money at the end of the month, and even 2 months and 3 months. We never knew when the production was going to come. So, but I was like, if the production is not coming, then I'll be pushed to create. Let's see where this is going to push me. And it pushed me. So so then I was available to work with Carol Kalemera at Isho fully, and Hope Azeda at Mashirika fully. And so we kept on working, and also because I knew the film was going to come out, and I had taken a lot of pleasure shooting that film. And a kind of voice was telling me that my life might change when the film is released.
There were a lot of people, obviously, who were telling you that you had made a big mistake. Was there anyone telling you that you were on the right path?
My mom. Yeah. My mom was like, okay, you'll see what will happen. And I was like, okay, she seems to be calm about this. And she should be the first one to tell me, you should be working, you should be earning your life. And also myself, I think I've been stubborn, even like shaving my hair. I shaved my hair at that time. The same thing. Everyone was telling me, you're crazy. The beauty of a woman is in her hair. And I was like, no, mine is somewhere else, but not in my hair. So there was a kind of challenge, challenging spirit that was lying inside me that wanted to challenge everything, and even challenging myself and my fears and see where I was going to land as I was leaving my job. And also to see what was going to come my way. And also a little voice telling me, if the film comes out and it's a success, then I'll be already set to work towards, to develop that acting career.
What film was that again?
Birds Are Singing in Kigali.
The one that gave you 10,000 euros. 10,000
euros. And then it gave me awards. So 2015, 2 years later, 2017, 2 years later, the film is premiered at Carlo Vivari, which is a category A festival, like on the same level as Cannes. And so I'm on my first film film festival. I feel small. I don't know how you behave on a film festival. I'm surrounded by people who are speaking all the languages except French and Kinyarwanda. And the first reviews of the film come out. But first, the interview. So for the premiere, we do an interview with a whole filled with journalists.
Where was that festival?
It was Czech Republic.
Had you ever been there?
No, it was my first time. It was my very first time to be on a film festival and a category A festival. So you have Variety, Screen Daily, Hollywood reporters, like all these big journalists coming and they're seated there. And we have this panel, we're talking about the film. So I'm learning how we talk about a character, a film process and all. And then the next day, the reviews are there of the film.
How nervous are you? Because let's also be honest. This is almost like your make or break moment. Your life can go one or two ways.
Yeah.
So you're sitting was it in the Czech capital?
No, it was in Karlovy Vary, which is a small city, hilly and very green. They shot there Casino Royale. Yeah.
So yes, so you're there in this space with all these really, really powerful journalists, producers, financiers, artists, actors, actresses. And then there's you, the small Rwandan girl, not small, but At that time,
small.
you were, yes.
Yeah, I felt small.
A Rwandan girl, first big event like that. What is going through your mind? You know, right? Because then the day after, the reviews would come out, right? But then that moment before the reviews come out, when people are like looking at the movie and you know they're judging you.
Yeah, I didn't know they were judging me because I was discovering the film. I hadn't watched it. It was my first time to see the film. But when we went to the press conference, and as we were reaching also the theater to present the film, and going on the red carpet and all the protocol around, I felt like it was a wedding. I was really enjoying as if it was my wedding. As I was feeling small before, during the festival and all, but at that moment I was enjoying it as a wedding, and I was really feeling like a bride. And a friend of mine had lent me her gown because I didn't have anyway. So, but during the press conference, I felt small, and I knew that maybe something might change. And the next day when the reviews came out, and the reviews were saying the film is good, but the standout is a Rwandan actress, Eliane Umuhire, I was shaking. I was like, well, okay, something is going on. And I never knew that the pleasure and the passion I had put in making that film will be seen like that. I was not expecting it. And then also there was also another side of me that was not really taking care of that. For me, it was, we are going to show the film. And then I go back to my theater because it was even, in the middle of a theater tour. I had left the others. I think they had gone to Rwanda, and then I went to present the film. For me, it was more like a chapter, in brackets, of going to present the film to the world. And then I go back to my theater world. Yeah. And following days later, I get a call from the producer telling me, I'm coming to fetch you to go look for a dress. You have to go back to the festival. And I was like, what's going on? She was like, you get me. You won an award. And I was completely shaking. That's when I was like, my life might be changing.
What is going through your mind when that happens? The reason I ask you is that they say that the moment before you die, your entire life flashes before your eyes.
Yeah.
So when you're told by your producer that you need to get your dress because you've won an award at a prestigious film festival, what are the images in your mind?
My uncle, my maternal uncle, who was a sculptor, he's no longer alive, and I don't know why, like he came in my mind. My grandfather, who was a poet, came in my mind, and the whole community, artistic community. Like I could see faces of Natasha, Hervé Kimeni, Dida, like everyone, like their faces flashing, like as if like that moment was ours. It was happening to all of us, all of that. And then also something like, hell, what's happening? What's happening? What's this? And like something surreal, like a lot of mixed emotions, completely. Found myself in the lift, and in front of me there was a lady, and she was staring at me, and then I realized that I had my mouth open because I was going downstairs to get a proper connection network. So yeah, there is that moment that felt like something is happening, and also like quickly, like my mind flashes, like if my world is changing, how do I live with that? The EGH, New Times, and all started contacting me, and all was like, so how do I deal with that? That's when I was like, I have to hold on my friends and my family and everyone who helps me to keep my feet on the ground.
That I can't imagine that process. So what was the reward you won?
Best actress.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Best actress with a crystal award. Huge and very heavy. I didn't have a speech.
What did you say?
I don't remember because I waited until, I couldn't believe it until the last moment. In my mind, it was like, I thought maybe they had called on to everyone who had their films there and it was going to be a surprise. Maybe it was someone else who had won an award. I waited until the last minute when they called my name. And then I went on stage. I think I improvised. I don't remember what I said. There was something about the director who had passed away during the shooting, something about my fellow actors. I really don't remember the rest. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Now, I want to get your thoughts on something that I've kind of I've started hearing. There's what they call like a crab in a barrel mentality, or some would call it the pull me down syndrome. The reason I'm asking you this question, right, is I've started hearing as more talented Africans, right? So for the longest time, talented artists from the continent or from some of these what we'd call the developing nations, we'd always just stay here, right? And not do much. But then all of a sudden, for the last couple of years, we've kind of started seeing certain African artists emerge.
Yeah.
And then get to these places and spaces that had previously been closed off to them. But that has not made certain demographics happy. And I'm hearing a conversation, maybe African artists are not yet in those conversations, but I've heard from certain Black artists, American artists, complain about the fact that they're losing roles to Black European artists.
Oh.
Yes. They're complaining about, the Idris Elbas and then that cohort of, the British, that British invasion into Hollywood.
I see.
And now, not only are there British, now even the Africans are entering that mix as well.
Yeah.
What do you think about that discourse? Because it almost seems like for the longest time, there was that gatekeeping. We shall play you, right? So you'll have an African-American artist portraying Nelson Mandela. And, or Forrest Whitaker.
Yep.
Portraying Idi Amin. With the most terrible, for me, the most terrible African accent I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Or Don Cheadle playing Paul Rusesabagina and trying to sound African. All of a sudden, things are changing.
Yeah.
And there's now even you who is not playing an African role. You're playing a role.
Yeah.
In your latest movie. Now, what are your thoughts on this issue?
Well, things evolve. Our societies evolve, and I'm happy actually that things are going that way. And because I remember feeling frustrated seeing Hollywood productions coming here, and our actors. I'm saying our actors because back then I was still at university, seeing our actors being just left to the jobs of extras. Playing bodies or passing bys and not the main roles. And I was like, but we have actors who are capable, who have the right accent, who are actors. Why bringing Idris Elba?
I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, and I can't tell you. Well, I can tell you because there is always also an aspect, like an economy, a financial aspect behind. If there is a big name attached to the project, then bigger producers, more money will come to the project, and then more income. They are assured they're going to make to make their money back. Slowly by slowly, there is a crack that happened, and we are passing through that crack and having our share, I would say, our share of storytelling and of being on the map. And we can never be apologetic about that. We cannot apologize ourselves for being there, because I believe in the abundance of this world, in the abundance of roles. Everyone has a role, a project that is meant to him or her. Everyone. If I don't make it on this project, then someone else is going to benefit that project, and everyone wins from that. There will be another project for me. I may spend 1 year without booking anything, and then maybe life is teaching me to use my time in another way, and being attached to other things rather than just being attached to being an actress. And if I'm open enough, then I'm going to learn to fill this life with more things, rather than just focusing on one thing and being afraid of roles that are of scarcity. You see, and also there is also as that discussion is coming up, yet we are still many projects that are coming and are asking us to play Africans and asking us to play an African accent. And you're like, there is no African accent. But I have my own accent, which is a blend of Kinyarwanda, French, and English, and some Swahili. And that is one of the many accents that are in Africa. And some people might relate to that. And someone will tell you, no, that's not what we are used to. We need a standard African accent. And then you're like, okay, so maybe I'm here also to contribute to changing the narrative inside the industry. Yeah.
You spoke about a crack appearing. What do you think created that crack?
Evolution, maybe. And tenacity from some of the artists, and also artists who are creating and giving opportunities to these actors to be seen. An example, if Sol Williams and Anisia Uzeyman come with their own money because they don't have any producers are afraid of a film being shot on the African continent with no stars attached to the project, and they're afraid of losing their money. So Sol Williams and Anisia come, they're like, we will still shoot this film. They come here, they build their own lights here, the costumes are made here, and the film is shot, Neptune Frost, with a cast and crew that is 100% Rwandan. And the film ends up in Cannes. And the film is seen. That's a crack. And we go there and we look beautiful and we connect and we talk, and people are like, oh, actually we can have conversations. We can have conversations coming from a common ground. We can we can talk. And actually there are artists there. There is Cheryl Isheja, who looks marvelous on camera. How about we book her for another role? She might look good in someone else's movies. So that's how slowly by slowly that the cracks are being opened. There is also a diaspora aspect of people going on the continent. And let's say like Nshuti Gatwa, who was raised in Scotland, and he started working and he didn't leave it, even though he knew, I don't know, I can't speak for him, but even though he knew that most of the roles that were going to come will be asking him to portray a kind of personality, and then still he kept on working until he landed Doctor Who. So I feel like it's a mix of many things, and
It's interesting for me to hear you speak about the names that you're ticking off. They're Rwandan names, Rwandan artists. I'd like to ask you, were there perhaps African artists that when you were going through the processes of being an artist, and we can call it the grind, that you were looking at these men and women and saying, I want to be them?
Oh, when Lupita Nyongo got her award, her Oscar, in 2014, I think. That's when I was preparing for Birds Are Singing in Kigali. And when I looked at her, I was like, yes, I can do this. I'm going to pull all my flesh and soul and body into this role, because I had seen 12 Years a Slave and how she went fully into her role.
How important do you think role models are for artists? Or how important was, for example, Lupita Nyong'o's win for you in your journey?
Well, role models are important to anyone, especially when they look like you. Then you can project yourself. I can project myself into an industry saying, okay, she made it. Why could I not? I can also make it. That's it. Or Viola Davis. She's Afro-American, but still, she looks like me, and I know her struggles. Until today, she's like, they call her the Black Mary Streep. And she doesn't have an equal pay as Mary Streep, even though they have the same, they went to the same school, they have the same career. But still, seeing them landing lead roles, there are no borders. The same way working with Hope Azeda and Carol Kalemera, both are women, made me not even question the fact that I'm a woman and I can act. So I have role models who made it. Carol, who left her job, her acting career to come here. These women who keep on pushing the walls and boundaries, then their strength comes back to me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and keep on working. And the same way they're inspiring me, I can maybe inspire others.
Now, I'm going to ask you, as they say in Kinyarwanda, akabazo k'amatsiko. Between me and you, you're the only one who's been to Hollywood. Right? I read about Hollywood. I watch Hollywood news. I'll go on my phone and see what's happening on Twitter, Hollywood, what's going on in LA. But you are the star here. I'd like to ask you, is Hollywood what we see? And when what we see is glitter and gold and shining and, beautiful people doing beautiful things and money and absolute glamour? Or is there something there might be those things, but there's also certain sides to it that you've witnessed? The reason I'm asking is that, for example, we know about Harvey Weinstein and everything that was going on. He was a big Hollywood producer, blockbuster movies, but in between his sexual assaults on, that was part of the Me Too movement. There have been issues around racism and unequal pay, like you discussed, with, say, for example, Meryl Streep and Viola Davis, two great artists, but who just don't receive the same amount of recognition as well as income. What has been your experience? Has it been more of the Hollywood glamour? And what has that been like? Or has it been the darker side of it?
Well, so far, I haven't been to the glamour side. I'm more onto the independent film side, And I remember 2019 when we went to shoot Trees of Peace, which we shot in studio, and someone telling me, the first day when I landed, telling me, "You are here? Welcome to Hollywood. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust anyone. People stab each other in the back. Producers will come on board, and everyone will try to get the job of the other. So like everyone trying to get his share of that meat." And me coming from, again, an independent filmmaking from Europe and here in Rwanda, where everyone is struggling to get money, but also there is a spirit of building together. There is the arts coming first, the craft coming first, not the money. So I've witnessed the industry, Hollywood being an industry, and everyone trying to get their share, but also the people who try to stay human as possible. And even though they will earn a little, but they will try to be on projects that are going to pay them little, but stay human. And what else can I tell you?
You've not also had to deal with the racism or anything like that?
Racism will come, no, not directly. Not directly. No. It will come sometimes in form of scripts.
What do you mean?
Scripts, like some lines. Let's say in a film, in a script where it's written, someone is preparing food and the other person asks, "Oh, this is good. What is it?" It's African food. It's ignorance. Or a kind of a pattern in the representation of Black bodies in the scripts, where we're talking about playing an African, playing an African who is a prostitute or prostitute, immigrant, poor, and all. Those kind of roles that are not presenting a human being in her dignity and full strength. As just a human being who goes through dreams and wishes and fear and love as any other person. So that's because that is going to, why those kind of characters? Because that is going to bring money on table, because it fits the same narrative. And if you go far, then you see how those narratives are going to feed the politics and the geopolitics behind.
I'd like to ask you, just again for my own sake.
Yeah.
Other than your co-stars in your latest movie, so we'll talk about them in a bit. Have you met other big stars, big people?
Yeah, because you're talking about the glitter. I've also witnessed the glitter with the festivals. Let's say like you go to Cannes and you are going to climb the stairs, you're going to climb the Les Marches et tout. And there is a funny, I love it, that moment where everyone is disguising. Yeah. My lover is the one who says like, "You are all normal. Eliane, you're normal." Why does everyone pretend? Everyone becomes someone else. It's like we're all playing a role. But it's a beautiful role. You put on dresses. I put on dresses that I won't put on in a daily life. I remove these sneakers. I love sneakers. And I put on heels and all. There is that glittery moment that is kind of interesting. But it's also interesting to come back to earth and go eat chapatis in Nyamirambo. And so that was that side. And then, yes, I was excited last year when I went to get an award at Cannes for Omen, the film of Baloji. And as we went to the dinner, to the after party, the director of the Cannes Festival, Thierry Frémaux, was like, "Also, I'm welcoming you all, and I'm also welcoming my dear friend Quentin Tarantino. He's here." I don't know, but I was like, "Quentin is here." I was telling the producer, and I was like, I'm going to say hi to Quentin Tarantino. I'll say hi to him. I'm going to talk to him. And the distributor was like, "Yeah, you're crazy. You should not, like, you cannot approach the, he's a summit. So that the challenging spirit got me. And I got up and then I went. And it's like, hi, Mr. Tarantino. I introduced myself and I was walking towards him. I was like, this is crazy. What am I going to say? But still, I admire this person. He's an artist like me. And when an artist inspires me, I prefer go tell the person. So I met him and I told what I had to tell him about his films, how his films have taught me and all how, let's say like, Inglourious Bastards. I was like, Inglourious Bastards show how we can use films to revenge the past. And then he was like, whoa, no one had never told me that. And we had a good conversation. And then later I was like, actually, he's a human being like me. That's good. It's good to talk and tell people that we like their work. And then this year, again at Cannes Festival, Meryl Streep, that I admire so much, the same way I admire Viola Davis. And the same as I have to go and talk to Meryl Streep. I have to tell her how she inspired me to keep on working. And especially being a woman, to not be afraid to be ugly. To not care.
What do you mean?
To look ugly is doing, like working on my face, not being self-aware of one's face, accepting characters that may not look pretty. As the beauty standards that we are used to. Accept that I can play a character who doesn't have makeup, who hasn't washed for a very long time, who has black teeth because she hasn't eaten for a month. Like everything that is going to put all that I may consider as beautiful aside. And also, I feel like Meryl Streep is not afraid to age. There is a huge pressure that's put on women actresses about age. Like you'll see many roles coming, castings coming, looking for 20, 25 years old. So a woman who is approaching her 40s may feel like, I'm done, my career is done, which is not the same for men. Men get their roles when they are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, even better. So one might tend to feel afraid of aging. That's why many go for Botox. And then you have their faces, they can no longer smile, they can no longer fear. And yet this is our tool, this is our instrument. And I look at Meryl Streep and I can see her, how do you call it, reed? Her wrinkles.
Crow's feet and wrinkles.
Yeah.
And
you can see time that has passed on her face, and she's beautiful, and you can feel the beauty, and you can feel the beauty that she feels inside. She radiates. So that is golden. Getting that from her is golden. Saying that there are women who feel as they age, elles savoure, they taste even better, like they taste their beauty and womanhood even better. And so I went to see her and I told her and got like some tears and both of us, and it was beautiful. Yeah.
Talking about beautiful, I'll be honest with you. I'll not watch your big Hollywood movie, A Quiet Place, day one.
Yeah.
For me, I don't like scary movies. I cannot do it. I'm more of a comedy. I want to watch a movie to make me laugh. I don't want to watch a movie that scares me and gives me those shocking moments. However, what I can appreciate is the fact that you, as an artist, are in that. Because the Quiet Place is not just a movie; it's almost a franchise. The franchise, you have Lupita Nyongo and as well as a multitude of big actors and actresses. So the fact that you are in that space is to be celebrated, is noteworthy. I might force myself and, watch it with one eye closed. But I'm really interested because Hollywood is competitive. There, like I said, for every one part in a production, there are 10,000 artists. And that's just, I'm not even talking about a Hollywood production. I'm talking about just a normal art house movie. For one part, there are hundreds of candidates. Now, for a Hollywood movie, that is a franchise movie. Now, that's another level of competition. That's one part, 50,000, 100,000 artists. And they all have agents that are pushing them. And then there's you, the girl from Kigali, the girl who was once an accountant, the girl who talks to Meryl Streep and sheds a tear because she's so passionate and she's meeting her, not an idol, but someone she looks really, really up to. Yeah. There's you. And you win this part. This part that could have gone to tens of thousands. It's you. You won that part. How does that even happen? How do you compete? How do you prepare? How do you get excuse my language, how do you get the balls to walk into that space?
So now, like, oh wow, that's now it's now that it's hitting me with all the words that you've used and all. Sometimes we take things for granted. Like for me, since the film has gone out and it's been wild and the emotions and all, but hearing you taking all that retrospective of my whole career and all, and also like the scale of the chances, it hits. It's hitting now. It's I don't know how I landed. I would say truly, because I went just through a casting process like anyone. My UK agent sent me the part, and they had hidden the name of the production, so I didn't know, and that is good because then I just did the casting as I would do for any other random film. I just had fun. I remember having fun during the part, and my lover helping me, because sometimes when I'm doing a self-tape, he's the one giving me the lines in the middle of the night with a crap light, but doing the job as I do and putting all my heart and fun. So I sent the tape for a film somewhere. They had just indicated some dates in London, UK and all, and New York and all. 2 months later, my agent calls me. She's like, "You might be penned, probably, on the project that you are." I was like, "Okay, cool." So 2 months later, my agent who calls me, video call, and she's like, "You've been confirmed on the project." And I was happy. I was like, "Okay, cool, another project, work." And then she was super excited, and she calls back. She was like, "Elia, you heard me? You've been confirmed." That's when I went back to the emails, and then I started looking on internet, and that's when I saw A Quiet Place, Lupita Nyongo has been confirmed on the project, and I was like, wait. Like when you feel like it's there might be a camera caché, a hidden camera. And then the following day, the costume lady who calls me to talk about our costumes, And she's like, so I wanted to talk about the costumes, and I talked to the actor who is playing your husband, and he was thinking that you are this kind of a couple who might be wearing this and all. What are your thoughts? And she tells me the name of the actor.
What's his name?
I didn't get the name. She has this British accent, and I was trying hard to understand. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to send you some ideas of costumes, and then we take it from there. And then after her call, I was like, what did she say again? I write to her, what did you say again? Is the actor playing my husband? And she's like, Jimo Honsu, I thought you heard. And Sanny, that's when I was like, this is a trap. It cannot be. A mix of emotions, and sometimes like a moment where you're like, you no longer have emotions. And so like Lupita Nyongo, Jimo Honsu, I had watched his films in Butare, watching Blood Diamond, and what's the other one again? Gladiator.
Yes.
And I was there being told that I was going to act with him and Lupita, and gratitude. Because it's, as you say, it's a one to 1,000, like one job in 1,000 fails. And it's an industry of no's. We work with many no's. You do many castings and then you get no's. And also like, so I was like, okay, I've learned the rules. I'm going to act. I have to work. I have to really prepare. And
So then how do you prepare? So in this role, you're acting as Zina. You're in this horror movie. For us who are on off screen, watching it on screen, we're seeing these monsters. Well, obviously those monsters don't exist. Just take us through that. Where are you shooting? How does this work? What was when did you shoot that movie? How long did it take? What's your experience acting in this space?
Yeah.
Because this is another level of acting and preparation. And do you forget your lines? Did you even allow yourself to forget your lines? What was that like?
The good thing, it's a quiet place. So there are no lines. Which makes it even more interesting. And when emotions had passed after like discovering that I was going to work with Lupita and Jimo Honsu, then I was like, okay, let's go to work. And also the excitement. It was my first time to go on a horror movie, and I was excited to see how you shoot a horror movie. There are times when I take on roles that I didn't want to play because I'm interested to see how it is to take on that role, to play a prostitute. I've never been a prostitute. I don't think I'll be a prostitute in my life. And I want to go into the skin of a prostitute and see how a prostitute feels like. So there is always a curiosity that comes when I have a new project. Like really, like a childish curiosity, like wow, what's going on? And like I'm going on another playground, a new playground, and this time it's horror. Am I going to feel fear when I'm acting? How are you afraid when you're not afraid? And when you don't even have words, because normally words are our pillars. Even when you're talking, when I say I'm afraid, there is instantly our brain is going to connect to the meaning of the words and the emotions that will come. But this time, those pillars were not there. And I was like, so I'm going to approach this work in another way. Very interesting, working on emotions and the presence, being present and putting all my senses at work, especially the breath. That's when I realized more how how again, once more, how the breath is super important for an actor. Hearing and being present and seeing, looking at what's happening, what is in the eyes of my scene partner, and like also like my body in the space. So the first day arriving on set, I'm super impressed.
Where's the set?
Do I have the right to say? I don't remember, but it's
okay,
in London.
It's in, okay. So
yeah, there's some scenes
it's in the UK.
Yeah, there's some scenes that in the UK, others somewhere else. And but mine, it was like one was really in the theater, and I arrive and I'm impressed, and I love sets. I feel like there is it's another world out of this world, and it's like an ant. In French, we say fourmilière. You know, like fourmi, it's ants. So
like an ant house.
Ant house.
Yeah.
Where like everyone is running around and all, and then there is a moment of complete silence.
It's an anthill.
Yes. And then there is a moment of complete silence and action. And between action and the first movement, there is that gap moment where time is suspended and then creation starts. And I see Lupita on stage, I see and I'm like, okay, so this time let's go to work with Lupita. And with an imposter syndrome coming in, kicking in, like, who am I? They're going to realize that I'm not up to the job. And then I remember that I'm an actress. I have started somewhere. I started on the ground, from Butare, and every project that I have worked on has built who I am, and I have my own sensitivity that I'm going to bring on the project. But that goes on so fast in the head that you don't even realize. It's only later that I went back when I was at the hotel, reflecting back to the day, and I was like, okay, we made it, Eliane. We made it. And then also, just also coming back to just, it's work. There is a director. I have my scene partners. There is the first AD who is going to tell us where to stand. The cameraman, how many cameras are there? And like on any other set.
Nothing special.
Nothing special, like on any other set. Well, maybe means more financial means.
Probably better catering.
Yes, and catering is essential on a set. Better catering, and also like everyone taking care. I love to see all the work that is done behind before you see the film that is there. How all the back work, the work that's done in the back, everyone who contributes to our well-being, to our comfort, so that we can be of service. And those people, we don't see them in the film. And I would love to acknowledge every time the person who's going to come quickly when they say cut, and it's like, do you want some water? Do you want some coffee? And someone was like, okay, come here. You can sit over there. And just those small gestures that are going to contribute to that moment. And then coming back to the craft, being there, feeling fear, and imagining the creatures. That's when you're like, okay, I'm putting my imagination at work. Yeah. And not even like wondering, am I correct? Just, it's a situation the same way when we're improvising. There is nothing. There is a theater director that I love so much. He passed away a few years ago. He's called Peter Brook. And there is a book he wrote up called The Empty Space. And he says, I'll take this, and if I put this is a stage.
You take that glass.
Yeah, I've just taken this glass. I'm drinking this glass. I'm looking at you and I'm putting this glass here. And this is an action. We've just acted. Like any place can be an acting place, can be a theater, it can be a movie set. So that always I carry that with me every time, remembering that I'm on a set and I'm creating. And it can be a Hollywood movie, it can be a low budget film, it can be a short film with no budget at all, but still you're going to create.
I'd like to know, so are you now friends with Lupita? I mean, think about it. Okay, for me, if I ended up when I work with people day in, day out, eventually we stop looking at ourselves as just workmates, but we kind of get to know each other. Did you ever have a chance to, sit down with your fellow film stars over a meal and just chat, exchange maybe notes, exchange family histories? Or is it a bit, the stars over here, then everyone else is over here?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but we exchanged with Jimo Honsu about our work and our careers and the challenges that everyone met regarding our backgrounds and all. And that was very insightful. And the same for Lupita. I remember we shot last year and we had to do some scenes again this year. And last year there was everyone is concentrated on the work, and her role was more demanding than mine. And I gave her space, not because I knew that if I start talking, the fan in me is going to invade her space. And I respected that space. And, but we talked. And then that was last year. And then this year, when we were doing some scenes, she came and she had seen Omen, Baloji's film, that was going to the Oscars. And then she was like, when she came to me, she was like, well done, I saw you in Baloji's film, that was good. And yes, that's there. We are, now we can talk as
we're peers
artists.
now.
Now we're peers. And so we're talking about our continent and cinema on our continent. And doing projects, how do you projects there and all, and it was quite interesting.
I hope you invited her to Rwanda one of these days.
I did. I told her and Alex Wolf, we're like, we have to go on holidays in Rwanda. You have to go hike Kalisimbi and see gorillas in Rwanda. And because she was here in I remember when Eric Kabila was doing the Rwanda Film Festival, there is a day there was a moment when he invited her. So I was like, remember you came in Rwanda and all. So I invited her and I really hope she'll come. But it was interesting. And it was another lesson for me to compare to last year when I was like, I don't want to invade her space and I want to be the fan because I'm here for work. First, I have to commit to the contract that I have signed. And then this year, as being peers and having a conversation on an equal ground. And and just like two people who are in this industry.
Now that the film, I think it just opened in Kigali last week.
A few weeks ago.
A few weeks ago. So what next for you in this franchise? Is it going to, what do they call it, like a media junket where you go country to country trying to do the sales, or is that kind of...
No, that is done.
That was already done?
Yeah, that was already done. And the production focused on Lupita and Joseph Quinn, which is more understandable.
They're the big actresses.
Yeah. And the stories is really on them. And when you say that you are afraid of horror movies, and I feel like this is a horror movie, but again, it's not like Soul, where there is a lot of blood and there is pleasure in violence. While A Quiet Place is more on the human side, on human connections and how do we connect in times of despair. And there is a moment where we remember what happened during the lockdown when the whole world was connected through fear of death. Yeah. And so the future for this franchise, we don't know yet. I remember that the director might had said that maybe a sequel to the prequel, because this was a prequel, was a spin-off, but I don't have any information. So we will see what's coming.
So now that, and this is my last question to you, now that you've kind of dipped your toe in the Hollywood machine, do you see yourself now pushing for those kind of roles? Because you can either say, you know what, I've got my foot in the door into the world of big budgets and big actors and big directors and big studios.
Yeah.
That, you know, the Marvel world, that big world. Or is that the kind of world that you want to go really like now push? Or are you thinking, okay, I've dipped my toe in that. I've seen it. Thank you very much. Let me now go back to, you know, the smaller art house movies that feed my soul and my need to express myself. Because the reason I'm asking is that there are some who go into acting to be stars, right? And Hollywood and big budgets, that's where you go to become a star. Then there is, I guess, the art of being someone else.
Yeah.
That one has nothing to do with budgets. It can literally be, as you said, it could be for free.
Yeah.
You now have a fork in your... I don't say that there's a fork in your road, but there is a fork in your road. There's this one, and then you say, you know what, this is who I am now. This is what we're trying to aspire to. I want to be the first Rwandan Oscar-winning actress. Because, you know, with the Oscars, there are very few art house movies that give you, you know, best supporting actress.
Yeah.
Best actress. Or you can say, you know what? I'm going here with the smaller movies, but that tell the stories that I want to tell. But there's going to be a certain price that I pay. Maybe I'll not become the global megastar that I could have been.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you, which road do you see yourself going on? And is there a third road that I haven't talked about, which is you get the best of both worlds?
Remember the first question, among the first questions you asked me when we were talking about the memory and me being 8 years old during the genocide, the 1994 genocide against Tutsis, and my reflection about the world that I was seeing at that time and how it reflected in my work as an actress. I think I've never considered being a star because going back to that, to what I was saying, and me reflecting and seeing my world changing in front of me, the whole community changing, and again, the whole community rebuilding after. And the art contributing to that rebuilding and fostering conversations, fostering questioning, sometimes bringing responses. That's my contribution. I've been feeling like doctors and shrinks and all are going to heal the bodies and the spirit and all. And I feel my duty as an actress and as a filmmaker is contributing to having those conversations, to helping some hearts feel joy, feel seen. Being a star, I feel like there is a huge price to pay, a lot. And I don't know how I will feel losing that part of me that makes a film. And then I go with that film to festivals and to the cinemas, and then I meet the audience for who we've made that film, and having that the conversations that the film sparks.
Can you talk about the price to pay? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What is that price?
Oh, there is a price about celebrity and all, playing that role. And most of the I might be judging the big budget film, but most of the time they are there for making money. And it's sometimes it goes like a fast food consumption, while art houses most of the time are films that are going to question, or more social films. And I find myself being more alive doing social films and really contributing to something else, to changing some narrative and all. And I've seen, and also like having this role in A Quiet Place was because I had already done art houses. They are the ones who gave me this job. If I had just come with just one short movie, I don't think I would have landed the role. I landed it because, of course, my casting was good, but behind that casting, there was also a whole filmography that was going with it. And the filmography of films, even though some of them were low budgets, but that had landed in big festivals like Cannes, and most of them were also going to the Oscars, but as foreign, or even the BAFTA. There is a short that we did, and we never knew that short film was landing in the BAFTA. And I met Viola Davis, by the way, at the BAFTAs. So maybe the artist in me is like, I'm getting both from both sides. And I take a lot of pleasure in the work that I do with art house films. And if my destiny is going into Hollywood, then the stars are going to align, and I will see it clearly. But for now, I'm there. I'm going to Venice in September with an art film, and that film is also questioning something in the society, and it's about women and the power of women saving the world. And I'm like, I know that if there is a little girl seeing that film, she can identify herself, and she can be, maybe I can also contribute to change the world. And for now, I have a control on that. I'm next to the audience. And I love that. I treasure that. Being with the people that I work for. And the price to pay with big budgets is having another role on top of being a role, of playing a role, is having another role, because then you're seen as a celebrity and you're given a role as a celebrity, and you have to fill that role. And I'm not yet sure that I'm ready to play that role. Yeah. So if work comes from Hollywood, of course, I'll take on the role and I'll take pleasure playing that part. But we'll see anyway. We never know. We'll see.
Just know, as the stars continue to align, that here in Kigali, here in Rwanda, here at the long form, you have fans. You have people who are just saying, go, Eliane.
Yes, I'll keep going. I'll keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to watch your movie. You've almost convinced me. Maybe I'll skip to the parts that you're in.
Oh, they're small. Don't worry.
Exactly. I'll stay there. I'll stick there and I'll switch it off. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was an absolute pleasure. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And keep going. This is your moment. I think as Rwanda and Rwandans, this is our moment. And I'm happy that you're in that space. So thank you so much for joining me on the long form.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having this space of conversation. Yeah. And I'm so grateful. This is my ending moment. Really, like, grateful to Rwanda, grateful to the country, coming back and every time seeing the country growing and everyone having conversation about growth is what also feeds me and carries me. And that's treasure. Thank you.
Thank you.